Orlando is doing something that Detroit has been doing all season, and they have been more physical than Detroit has been this series.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast, the global authority for coaching leadership where coaching wisdom meets real talk. I'm your host, Dr. Keith Adams, and on today's Wind Up Wednesday edition, we are going to take a deep dive into the NBA playoffs round one. Segment 1, Eastern Conference. Segment 2, Western Conference. And in segment 3, we're going to do a deep dive in the WNBA with a season preview as the WNBA begins, I believe, May 8th, but we'll confirm that in segment 3. With us today, our favorite administrator, Robert Abney's with us, and our basketball correspondent, Danny Thompson. And gentlemen, before we begin, at the start of every postseason, I rerun an Adams rant because you're not listening. So winning in the postseason, you need to do 4 things. You got to be distraction-free. Nobody should be talking to you about anything. 2, you've got to be able to play multiple defenses, especially guarding without help. 3, you have to have offensive flexibility. And 4, you got to have secondary players become primary players because sometimes primary players don't work out very well. And man, oh man, this postseason has had a lot of secondary become primary. So, gentlemen, I'm going to start with the Pistons and Magic. Danny, what are your thoughts on that series, and who do you think will ultimately come out with the victory?
That series has been interesting because of the fact that Orlando is doing something that Detroit has been doing all season, and they have been more physical than Detroit has been this series. Paolo Banchero has been playing out of his mind, and it's something that a lot of critics, a lot of analysts have been trying to look into seeing why he's not playing like we know he can play. And he's showing that in this series right now. Desmond Bane, with his experience for the postseason, when Memphis is showing up, they're getting a lot of contributions from everybody. It's not just your core. And on the Detroit side, Detroit is just, they look a step slow compared to what Orlando is looking right now. So ultimately, I think, and I don't think I was going to ever say this, I think Orlando might take this series. If they come out and win, I think game 4 is today or tomorrow. If they win that game, they're going back to Detroit, and they can take a game in Detroit because they've already done that. So I think ultimately Orlando might come out on top of the series.
All right, Robert, I got to ask you an administrative question. Detroit should be better, but we're old enough to know how 80s basketball worked, and you got to go through this process and whatever. But, man, they look really bad. And Paolo Banchero, who's been getting crapped on for the last couple of weeks, has played like a top pick. What are your reflections on the Pistons Magic right now?
The Pistons, quite frankly, just look bad. They just look bad. And I think a function of it is, as Danny said, Orlando has been physical and Detroit has not matched that. But aside from Cade Cunningham doing what he does, they look bad on offense. And in the NBA, it's the NBA. So, you're going to have good players who can score, who can manufacture their own shots and their own baskets. But on Saturday night, they gave up 113 points. And defensively in the playoffs, that's typically not going to get it done. So and
they don't win at home.
No.
I'm with Danny. I think Orlando's going to win that series. It wouldn't shock me if they win the next 2 games.
Isn't Detroit the number 1 seed?
Correct.
Detroit is the number 1 seed, but
and they lose at home.
but see, think about this. Let's go back a couple years ago when Milwaukee was the 1 seed and Miami was the 8 seed. Miami did something that Milwaukee couldn't handle. They were more physical than that team was, and that's what led them to get the victory. And then, Jimmy had a playoff run like no other that year. But on the other side of that Miami Heat team was just way more physical, and physical basketball wins in the playoffs. And they were the more physical team during that series, and it's repeating itself right now with Orlando and Detroit.
All right. Okay, so we'll move to the series that I have the least amount of interest in. The Cavaliers are playing the Raptors. Now, I'm not all Harley race right now with Cleveland because I think nature will take its course. But Danny, I'll start with you. Have you even watched this? Because I haven't even watched it. And yeah, just hurry up.
I maybe watched like the first half of game 2, probably, because it's not a series that's not catching my eye. I mean, and in the end, Cleveland's going to win it. Like, Toronto doesn't have the talent that's going to match up with them. So it's let's rub the dust off, get this over with, and move on to the next round. That's just what it is. And I'm not saying Toronto's a bad team. That is not talented enough to beat Cleveland.
That means you're bad. Okay. Robert, due to Amazon Prime, which is getting on my nerves, I just want to watch the game. I want to be able to turn the channel. And having Peacock has reminded me of college football season because I'll have a game on my phone, games plural on my TV that I can turn from, but the NBA is holding me hostage. Have you even glanced at a highlight of Cleveland and Toronto, sir?
I have not seen a single play from that series.
And we haven't missed one thing.
And therefore, I have no opinion.
Good. Let's get this, pull the cord, wrap it up, and let's move to the second round with them. So then I can be Harley Race and get Cleveland out of there. All right, Danny, the Sixers and the Celtics. Why are the Sixers beating the Celtics in anything? Come on, Boston. What are you doing? Let's hurry up. Hey, Danny, any thoughts on the Sixers and Celtics? Hurry up.
The only thought is why did Philly win that one game? That is still an answer. I have a question I have no answer for, because there is no way Philly should be even in this series right now. I'm with you, Boston. Wrap this up. Like, let's get ready to move on. Like, the only that I'm pissed. Go ahead.
But we know with the Celtics, they have at least one game a series where they shoot 25% from 3, and that's the game they lose. Yes. Because they shoot so many threes. And they're going to Boston, because that's how they play, they're going to do that. Yes. And I mean, should they lose to Philadelphia? No, they should not. But if that's how you play, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. That's enough of that, because Boston should win that series, and it's just a long time. Let's hurry up. Finally, the series that I like, and I am Harley Race, 1983 against Ric Flair. The Atlanta Hawks are making it very, very interesting, even though I don't think they're very good. But the Knicks are doing a very good job of helping the Hawks stay into this series. Danny, what are you thinking about the Hawks and Knicks? And is somebody going to take the money?
Where do I begin? I'll start with New York. I don't know what it is, why no coach can seem to unlock the real Karl Anthony Towns, because he is so sporadic in this series. It is beyond me. Last night he played a hell of a game, but then we know in games 1 and 3 he looked like a ghost. Now, it doesn't help the fact that in game 1, Jalen Brunson tried his best to take over the game, and it cost them in the end. So we know that much is true. And in the Atlanta side, Atlanta's just doing what they was doing all season. They're just playing some sort of level basketball that's going to keep them going. They got their veterans doing what they need to do. CJ McCollum has turned him into the villain of this series because he is taking everybody out with his game. And it just looks like New York has no answer for him. And then if it gets to the point where Jalen Johnson gets going and he starts playing like the player that we know he's playing, like the all-star he played this season, I'm not going to sit here and say New York is going to win this series. Because to me, I think Atlanta's going to take it at the rate they're playing right now. New York is too inconsistent for me.
So Robert, I don't believe in conspiracy theories as a social studies teacher, but do you think the New York Knicks will lose in the first round with the remote control?
I don't think they're going to lose in the first round, but I don't think it has anything to do with the conspiracy theory. I think they're just better than the Hawks, and I think that Karl Anthony Towns will manage to put 2 consecutive games together at some point, and they will win. It may take them. They may have. Excuse me. They may go back to Atlanta. I mean, they may go back to New York down 3-2. But I think they will manage to string it together. That being said, the whole can't win a championship when your best player is a small guy. It's
Atlanta, and you're struggling.
Yeah, I mean, the Knicks should not be struggling in this series.
Yes.
They just should not.
All I'm waiting for is when the Knicks lose, I want to see Stephen A. Smith crowning a puddle of blue and orange tears. I want to see him up there.
And on that note, although I hope Atlanta takes the money, you've got to see the Harley Race quote promo to know why that's funny to me. I do think the Knicks will find a way to win this series. And with that, in segment 2, we're going to take it out west. We'll be right back on the Uncoached Podcast. Hi, everyone. Dr. Keith Adams here. And for over 30 years, I've dedicated my life to helping student athletes succeed, not just on the fields and the courts, but in the classroom and beyond. And that's why I founded the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project understands that finding the balance between academics and athletics is crucial for long-term success. That's why the CKA Save Project offers a range of programs, including personalized consulting, mentorship, and coming in 2027, our innovative Gap Year Basketball Academy designed to assist both young men and women reach their full potential both on and off the court. I'm incredibly excited to announce that the CKA Save Project is now partnering with the Cascade Sports Network. This partnership will allow us the opportunity to amplify our message and reach even more student athletes through the Odd Coaches podcast and other exciting initiatives. Join the CKA Save Project and the Cascade Sports Network as we empower the next generation of student athletes. Visit CKA on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org to learn more. Let's work together to find the balance and help unlock your potential. Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 2. Western Conference. Who's going to advance? Can't lie, I'm a little more interested in the West than the East. Danny, Thunder, and the Suns. You're not in the Mike King ranting about SGA and his greatness on a regular basis, but OKC should beat the Suns. Any thoughts on that series?
I mean, I'll go back to another wrestling quote. I mean, the cream of the crop always rise to the top, and no one does it better, as the Macho Man said. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit back and overanalyze this, because if you saw the game last night, SGA was destroying them last night. So, I'm pretty much look the cream of the crop, OKC, wrap this up. Let's go.
All right, Robert, you are privy to the Mike King rants about OKC. Any thoughts about the Thunder and the Sun?
Well, I mean, Danny made a Macho Man reference, so immediately pomp and circumstance went through my head.
Great promo, the Creed.
So I mean,
Always
yeah,
rise
I
to the
mean,
top.
this is one of those. I mean, this is a formality. You have to play it because the rules say you have to play it, and so and it would. I mean, it wouldn't shock me if they lose Game 4 because lack of focus. But that they'll be wrapping it up shortly.
Yes. Robert, I'm coming to you first with this one because I have to be Harley Race, and they're just not doing a very good job. The Lakers are up on the Rockets. You got Ime Udoka throwing the Rockets under the bus, even though the Rockets didn't get a point guard. As a basketball person, you're just looking like, I don't care who's injured. If you don't have anybody setting up whatever, it's going to be challenging for you to win in the postseason when all I got to worry about is your team. This is not a Tuesday in January. This is the NBA playoffs. So, will the Lakers pull this out and give me a second round of, oh God, I got to listen to this all day?
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna have a second round of Lakers and OKC. And that's just gonna be what it is. I'm starting to think that Ime Udoka may be more trouble than he's worth as a head coach. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Spicy.
Well,
he did throw him under the bus.
When your head coach is in the headlines for things not happening on the floor more than the players on your team are in the headlines for things happening on the floor, that's a problem, in my opinion. So,
yeah,
I mean, he knows basketball, but when you have all this other stuff going on, it seems to me like it's going to be difficult to get people to play for you consistently.
Yeah, Danny, KD ain't played, man. So, what are you thinking about the Lakers and Rockets?
Man, look, I don't even know where to start with this because, and I'm with Robert, and Ime Udoka knows his basketball. I'm not going to take that away. For some reason or another, either he's in the headlines for something he should not have said, or there are people questioning his decision making as a coach. Because there's too many instances now going back to the days in Boston where you have the more talented team and you fall short. It doesn't it again, Macho Man reference, the beat goes on with this guy. It's the same thing every time. Saying something you don't need to be saying or bad coaching decisions. And unfortunately, both of those are rearing their ugly heads right now in this series. So I don't. It's to the point where we already know what we're going to get. We're going to get a Lakers Thunder second round. So let's just move this along. There's no point even having this anymore.
Now, of course, the Lakers are the higher seed. I believe the Lakers are the third seed, right? So this is not an upset.
No,
but I'm upset that I got to hear another 3 weeks. Brownie. It is kind of cool that Brownie threw a loop to his son. Okay, I'm a dad, and that would be cool to me. But yeah, that's about it. Okay, you should have got a point guard and whatever. All right, Danny, I'm coming back to you. The T-Wolves and Nuggets. So the T-Wolves are looking like they're going to close this thing out. In a recent game with them, we had some a kerfuffle with doing business the right way and scoring when you're not supposed to score. I know how Adams would have handled that, but the T-Wolves have secondary guys playing like primary guys, and that is a recipe for disaster if you're trying to win a title, Denver. Any thoughts on the T-Wolves and Nuggets, Danny?
Going back to last night and going back there, well, I'm not gonna say like the recording on Sunday. So going back to game, it's just like it was game 3, game 4. Yeah, it was game 4.
Yep.
Everyone is sitting there talking about the unspoken rule of the game is out of reach, just dribble the clock out. I'm one of those guys that believes into that side, but I'm also and then like you always say, two things can be true. You should have stopped them for the first 48 minutes of the game instead of bugging about a 2-point shot at the end of the game. What are we doing? And like you said, when you got primary guys, and this is going to Minnesota, and then this is going back to that trade because everybody was talking about Chicago and how they should not have traded Ayo Dosunmu to Minnesota. And look what he's doing for them right now. So if Denver cannot beat a Minnesota team who is down Anthony Edwards and down Dante DiVincenzo, because it looked like he tore his Achilles last night, you're not winning the championship. And if you're going to go up against, if you, by some chance or hook or crook, you win 3 straight games and you go play San Antonio playing like this, it's a wrap. So I don't want to hear no more about the unspoken rule. Yes, we know it's a respect thing, and I'm all for it. And I'm also of the mindset you should have played better defense for the first 48 minutes of the game instead of worrying about some 2-point basket with 1 second left and the game's already out of reach. Stop it with that.
So Robert, I'm gonna have you put your referee hat on, and I'm gonna let you know that Will Cotton will be starting the next game, and get your whistle ready because first time that guy touches the ball, we're gonna let him know we're here. But with that being said, what are your thoughts on the Timberwolves and Nuggets games series?
Well, I'm with Danny. You know, don't fuss about that when you didn't guard anybody the first.
I understand. Will Cotton start
47 minutes and 30 seconds, and
Steve Spurrier rules. Keep me out of it. I know.
Yeah,
He's still starting.
Yeah, I mean, and then then you have league suspensions and all that and whatever, right? Whatever, it's fine.
You better shoot a lot of jump shots. Don't go to the basket.
And you know what? Back in our day, I mean, that was a thing, right? That was a thing, and I was one of those guys. When I was on the floor, that was my role. So I know exactly that of which you speak. All of that being said, Jokic can only do so much. Aaron Gordon is not playing well. The Nuggets need Aaron Gordon to play well to win this series. DiVincenzo ain't coming back for the T-Wolves. We'll see how bad Ants is hurt. I did not see any reports on his health. But I mean, the Timberwolves just look better. The Nuggets kind of, I hate to say it, but I mean, they're playing like they're playing out the string, and they're just old and tired, and they just cannot find it within them. They can't.
There's not another gear left.
They're looking for that next gear, and they just cannot find it.
Ain't good. All right, Robert, I'm gonna stay with you because the word of the week is oof. The Spurs and the Trailblazers are in an extended series because Victor took a fall, and it's a long way to fall when you're 7-5. But should the Spurs wrap this up by the end of the next 2 weeks with these long series?
That's a long way down for Wemby. I mean, the Spurs won game 3 without him. They did have to learn during the year to play without him, so it's not something with which they're unfamiliar. I think they still can, should win the series. May take them 6 games, but I think they still should win the series. But it will be interesting to see, first of all, when does Wemby come back? Because if I'm Mitch Johnson, I'm like, he's not coming back. He's not coming back this series. That's going to be my mindset. He's not coming back this series. So we're going to prepare. We're going to prepare to play as if he's not coming back, which is going to be better for them in the long run, because if he's concussed, you need to make sure you give him time to work his way through that. it will be interesting to see. I'm going to assume that Minnesota is going to win that, win their series. How dinged up is Anthony Edwards? Because Minnesota can beat Denver without him being 100%. They cannot beat San Antonio without him being 100%.
Yeah. Danny, again, that was a long way to fall. You know how conservative Adams is. We're going to win. Go ahead and sit down somewhere, son. But how would you handle the Spurs and Wemby as they should beat Portland this week if the league scheduled enough games?
So game 3 is today. No, game 4 is today. Game 5 is Tuesday, back in San Antonio. If I'm the Spurs, you've seen you can win without him. I would sit him this series and let him rest and heal up for the second round. Because the one thing, as someone who has had concussions before, they're nothing to mess around with. And like you said, that's a long way down for someone that's 7'4", 7'5". And he hit that floor hard. So if I'm the Spurs, I am sitting Wemby for the rest of this series. Unless it comes down to where you need to win the game, sure, play him. But right now, no. Go sit down, rest up, heal that concussion, make sure you are okay to play in the next round, because they don't necessarily need him for this one.
No, they should have won the game that they lost.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken, they gave up a big lead. And it's not like they haven't played. Wemby played, 65 games, 66. Yes. So they're used to this. And Portland, they're a little bit better. And the Wizards gave up a decent player, shocking. But yeah, they wrap this thing up and go ahead and get some rest.
Because something that I saw someone online, and this is why I don't like most people who talk basketball, because apparently they figured they'd rather have Dylan Harper over Stephon Castle right now. Stephon Castle is playing out of his mind. The dude was their best, pretty much their best playmaker. And he's putting up 17 points and can get you about 5 to 7 rebounds a game, also getting about 7 to 8 assists. And he proved that in game 3. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be fine. Let Victor rest. Y'all take care of business. Let's get ready for the second round. You still got to win tonight and win Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Get this done.
All right. So with that, in segment 3, WNBA tips off May 8th. We're going to do our season preview of it. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches Podcast.
Today's student athletes face pro-level challenges without pro-level support. The CKA SAVE project is here to change that. For 16 plus years, Dr. Keith Adams and his team have provided comprehensive academic and athletic support from middle school through post-graduation transitions. NIL guidance, transfer portal navigation, academic coaching, career planning, they've got it covered. The CKA SAVE project. When your future is on the line, experience matters. Learn more at www.ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast in segment 3. Are we in the championship chasing or rebuilding? We've got some training camp storylines that we want to look at. Danny, starting with you, is there any WNBA team storyline that you're going to spend some extra time following this year?
The one thing I want to pay attention to is the Liberty, because you went out and got another ball-dominant forward in Satu Sabally in the offseason. You already have a 3-headed monster in Sabrina Ionescu, Brianna Stewart, and Jonquil Jones to shore out your core for the next few years or so. I think going against Satu Sabally will help them, but I'm also trying to find out where are you going to play her in the mix of your lineup, because, I mean, sure, if you start her and Brianna Stewart can flip between the 3 and the 4. So we already know what they're going to do there. So you're fine in that aspect. And then Satu Sabally is not like, Stewie. Stewie can spread the floor from the 3-point line and they'll be fine. Sasu operates more along that pink post on the elbow and in. Can she shoot the three? Sure. But her game is pretty much 15 to 17 feet and in. So her and Jonquil Jones will work wonders together because you can always do that high-low just in case Stewie comes out. You always have that third player in. So they'll be fine. But I want to see how this new I'm not gonna call them a super team just yet. But they're going to be the most talented team going into this season. And I want to see how well they start out. And if I can go ahead and say that's the championship contender, there's no need to look at everybody else. And this is coming from someone who wants to see the Aces repeat. And I want to see how these other teams are doing. It's just right now, I don't see no one that's going to be better than New York going into the season.
All right, Robert, is there any storyline from a team that has caught your eye?
So I have three things that I'm interested in. One is the ongoing saga of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, right? Because you have two new situations for those two players who came in together. There's bad blood between, they say there's no bad blood, there's bad blood. And that bad blood has kind of made the games that they play against each other and has made following them just, kind of more compelling. And they both have new situations. Caitlin Clark, theoretically, at least Indiana's gotten her some help. Are they going to manage her minutes, or are they just going to let her go and play 38, 39 minutes a game? Because when she's healthy, obviously she is Caitlin Clark. And when but she is susceptible to injury. She is still thin. She has not, at least from what I've seen, she has not gained any muscle, any thickness, and I'm not saying she hasn't lifted or that she doesn't lift. But you've got to prepare for a long season, and that's how you do it. Angel Reese is, change of scenery. Atlanta needed some defense. She can provide them that. They needed some rebounding. She can provide them that. It'll be interesting to see how that change of scenery works out for her, because Chicago, that didn't work. The second thing I'm looking at is Dallas. Obviously, you got three guards, all of whom are really good with the ball in their hand. They're only allowed to play with one at a time. I suspect that early on there will be some challenges with that. And I also suspect that the three of them, because they're all good basketball players, will be able to figure out how to play together. I think one of the benefits for them is any of those three can bring the ball up the floor and initiate offense. So you're able to do that, and doing that, is going to create some matchup issues for whoever you're up against, because if any of the three can initiate offense, that makes it a lot more challenging to defend them, obviously. The third is I'm a big Asia Wilson fan. The Aces, for some strange reason, only have 13 players in training camp. I don't understand that. I would think you would bring in a few more bodies for reps' sake, because it's going to be a long season.
Mm-hmm.
And are you too thin? Or adding Kennedy Carter, is that gonna get you where back to their championship pedigree? So those are three things I'm looking for. There's a lot of interesting stuff in the league, but those are three things I'll pay a lot of attention to.
Yeah, for me, it's the 44 games and the break that you're going to get for the FIBA World Cup. But the teams I'm looking at, I'm always this year going to compare Atlanta to Chicago, because Atlanta traded future assets for Angel Reese. And I don't know if she is going to do what Atlanta thinks she's going to do. So I'm going to watch them. I'm watching Chicago because this is the last dance for Skylar Diggins and for Kia Jackson. So that should be interesting to watch. The Connecticut Sun are done. And you're watching a lame duck team for an entire season as they get ready to move to Houston. So I'm watching that. Oh my goodness, y'all are leaving. I mean, if you work in the ticket department, what are you doing? Okay, so that's one. That's another one. I'm also looking at Toronto versus Portland because you got two teams coming in. The Tempo are aggressively pursuing veterans, and they're trying to make the playoffs because they got a coach from New York, if I'm not mistaken, that probably didn't get got the shaft a little bit. So I'm thinking she's excited. And then Portland is like, nah, we're good. We're waiting for next year. So I'm thinking they're on the choo-choo wagon. And we're going to see some taking in the WNBA. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Danny, any final thoughts before we wrap up and check in with Robert as well?
The one thing that did come out, and Robert mentioned it, was the play of the Aces and see how they're going to do, especially because they're so thin when it comes to the training camp roster. I want to see what middle team is going to take a step up this year. Is it going to be Washington? Is it going to be Golden State? Dallas with their 3-guard offense, is that going to bump up? That's the other thing I wanted to pay attention to this year, because I want to see what middle team is going to improve so much that we're going to have to say, hey, you might want to start thinking of them as more of a contender going into the following season more than this season.
All right, Robert, any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
No, I mean it's you have two expansion teams and you have a zombie team, right? Because you have the zombie Connecticut Sun. That has to be. I mean, it's probably not so strange for the players because like they know they're still gonna have a team, at least in theory. I mean, but if you're a fan, what do you show up? Do you not show up? Do you show up with a bag on your head? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I just,
that's why we're watching it.
You know, are they going to play? Are they gonna try? Or are we gonna see a team go 4-40? I mean, I don't know.
I can tell you this: if it's one fan base that will show up for their team, it is Connecticut, bad or indifferent. Because even last year, they weren't that great, but Connecticut always sold out, no matter who they played.
Well, we're going to check it out. All right.
Let's see this year.
So as we close, basketball is in an interesting place for me. My mentor, Hank Galata, rest his soul, his birthday was this past week, and it always provides me a time for reflection. My high school teammate and one of my closest friends, Riley Ainge, is developing a summer basketball camp in our area that will be at Pate Branch High School, and they're going to use our CKA 101 academic curriculum. Danny is our postgraduate academy project lead, and we're looking to get him into some more high school gyms this summer. And that's interesting for me because we're dipping our toe back in. Being at the Final Four, the SAC Symposium, and soon at the Black Student Athlete Summit, I'm now around more college athletes from a variety of sports, but everybody's saying the same thing, man, we need some help. So as an organization, I'm constantly reminded of our purpose. And our purpose is to provide and empower these college athletes through educational and professional development. So I'm looking forward to what the future's bringing. Stay tuned. And on behalf of our Cavalcade of Stars, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and or watching the Odd Coaches podcast, also seen on the Cascade Sports Network, and we will see you on the sidelines. Until next time, take care.
We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on the X platform at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Keith Adams and the CKA Save Project on social media at CKA Save Project. For more information about the CKA Save Project, visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches podcast.